Our first speaker today is actually Molly, who I mentioned is from 1000 Heads. She's a word-of-mouth evangelist. She heads up the WOM Academy training program, helping businesses adopt a social approach from the inside out. She also regularly flies around the world giving keynote speeches, so we're really lucky to have her today. And today what she's going to be talking about and showing us is what the team has been doing for Nokia with great success, I think, for the last sort of 7 years or so. So over to you, Molly.
Thank you. This is a little early. Right. Hello. Thank you for coming. This is all a bit intense for 8:30 on a Wednesday morning, so I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm here to talk about our Nokia Connect advocacy program, which I think is really, really special, partly because it is 7 years old. 1000 Heads has been going for almost 11 years now. We are a word-of-mouth agency, not a social media agency, partly because when we started there was no such thing as social media. There was some kind of AOL chat rooms and gaming forums and a lot of people. So we started building our kind of proprietary listening software, and the listening was where it had all began. And Nokia was one of those companies who saw really early promise in getting involved with this stuff. And I'd say the first reply to those comments about, how do you do this? How do you connect with advocates? How do you harness this stuff? Time, money, and effort is a huge thing. And actually, when you come to talk about social media or word of mouth, people want to hear the opposite. They want to hear that it's quick, that it's cheap, that it's easy, that it's a recessionary solution to all your problems. And, as with any relationships, they take investment. And for me, the key takeout here is, social media is not a marketing tool. It's an absolutely rubbish marketing tool. It's a relationship building tool. But that means it's fantastic for advocacy if you have the time and the hunger to really do it well. So a quick run through of Nokia Connects. What do we do? 7 years old. We mainly run this through our Nokia Connects Twitter feed and blog. But these are very much signposting techniques. From our point of view, the only really valuable word of mouth is the word of mouth that happens outside your brand presences. Yes, away from your Facebook page, away from your Twitter feed, away from all those lovely places where you can control it and manage it and measure it, because that's what word of mouth is. That's why it's valuable. It's independent, it's organic, it's passionate. And the stuff that's on your brand page, great, there is place for engagement and there is place for a direct relationship there, but that's kind of not really what people get super excited about when they talk about word of mouth being viral and influential and independent. So over the 7 years, we've got a global network of over 20,000 advocates. We work in the UK, the US, the Middle East, kind of all over for Nokia, really. We get over 360,000 conversations a year, and we run over 50 device experiences per month. That's pretty much kind of trials, anything involving getting devices in hand. But again, those experiences, those trials are always trials. We never give people phones. We never pay people for anything. We have a very strong, strongly communicated kind of contract that we will never ask anyone to say anything. There is no obligation. In fact, we encourage them to talk negatively as well as positively if they like. So this is hopefully a very authentic and very genuine and trustworthy kind of relationship we have. So this is basically our objectives from, I suppose, the consumer side, from the people side. We want to help them learn more about Nokia products, obviously buy more Nokia products and help each other make a purchase decision, do more with the products they have if they already own them to get the best out of them, and tell more of their friends. So those are pretty solid, obvious objectives. In terms of how that translates to our business objectives, that's about generating Nokia conversations, so relevant, passionate, recommendational, behavior-focused conversation. Inspire the creation of content using the smartphones. This is a great thing about working with a company like that, is that the product is intrinsic in the kind of content creation, and the content itself then becomes essentially an advert for the product. Building relationships with non-tech influencers. This is a huge thing about how to reach advocates who aren't talking about Nokia, who aren't talking about mobile tech, but where the product can really, really enhance their passion and kind of tie in what they do love, and drive sales of smartphones. You know, no shit, we wouldn't be here otherwise. So the advocacy journey, I won't run you through this exhaustively. It's common sense. I think a lot of advocacy is common sense. You know, if you've made friends, if you're able to sustain friendships, relationships, if you weren't always kind of pilloried in the playground, you have a pretty good idea of how to build relationships. But we do have to systematize it because it becomes a lot more complex when you're dealing with huge clients and different teams. First of all, we profile. Everything starts with listening. We have our own, as I mentioned, proprietary listening tool, kind of like a Radian 6 or a Sysmos, but it's much older. It's 11 years old. It's developed incredibly, has all kinds of fantastic technical capabilities that have been built in with neurolinguistic programming, etc., etc. The most important part of it is our team of analysts who use that and sit on top of it. I am a big non-fan of automated listening services because I think it's still useless. However clever they are, we're talking about people. We're talking about human conversation. Any insight has to come from humans. And this includes profiling. You know, this involves really, really reading these guys' content, looking at their presences, getting to know them like a friend. What are their primary passions? What are their secondary passions? Do they have kids? What do they love? And that helps identify how relevant they are, how influential they are for the purposes of what we're going to do, but also so that we can tailor whatever we're doing, whatever campaign we're building, so that it's absolutely reinforcing their motivations in sharing and being in social. Then you engage. I've already touched on that just now. Then you inspire. You know, that this is really what Nokia is here to do, not to create its own content, not to try and get people to spread a video or a hashtag we've created. Get them to create content on their own spaces that is independent, that is passionate. Nurture and grow. This is huge, and again, this is part of the long-term scope. You know, doing a flash mob or a viral video and getting lots of people excited about it and talking about it does work. You know, you get a lot of conversation, but what happens then? It's no different to creating an expensive print ad or a TV ad. Yes, those things drive huge volumes of conversation in social media and offline, but you're kind of left with the same result. What we are into is an ongoing bank of growing advocates and growing positive conversation that is kind of meaningful. And then, yeah, you can do campaign stunts and launch stunts on top of that spread the awareness. But for us, this is a kind of long-term and quite deep activity. So, some examples. Here's some case studies of kind of how this works in practice. As I said, one of our key linchpins is the Nokia Connect Twitter community. And our team here live and breathe this stuff. They know this community like their best friends. They've been to their weddings. They've been to their birthday parties. You know, but we don't just connect with the deep advocates who already know who we are and who are connected. We go out there and actively search for conversation about competitors, for anything people are saying about mobiles, and respond to it immediately. You know, here we found that Amanda was deciding between a Lumia and an HTC. Nokia Connect throws it out there to the community, and you can read for yourself what happens. That is just, you know, one minute of one day that those guys have done, and already they've got an incredible conversion that all of Amanda's network have seen, that the community have felt valued. They're the ones who've come in and asked their opinions. Nokia Connect isn't going to come back and go, the Lumia is great, Amanda, you should buy that. To me, this is my favorite slide. And the daily, unnoticed, unspoken work that doesn't usually get airing in case studies because it's not glamorous, it's not creating some microsite, it's not doing some massive, impressive campaign. This is the stuff that matters. Having a team that you trust, who have the time and the passion to get to know this community and respond in an intuitive and relevant way to all this conversation going on. That surprise and delight stuff, being helpful, that is the linchpin of advocacy, not just kind of sending smiley faces at people and posting pictures of your cats. Incredible relationships. You know, we had a switch to Lumia, a kind of meme campaign going on. And, you know, this just, I think, demonstrates the passion if you can really hook up with advocates. I'd remind you, this guy has never been paid a penny from Nokia. We don't wine and dine him. We don't, we just have a great relationship with him. And he is going out there evangelizing, setting himself a target of how many people he can get to switch to Lumia because he genuinely thinks it's such a great smartphone. Another example of our incredible relationships is how, we take a bit of a big view of this idea of influence. A lot of people are chasing the same influencers to become their advocates, people with huge amount of followers or friends. What we actually often try to do is find the people who have the most passion, and not necessarily the most followers, but they might have big offline networks, and help build them up. So there are some guys like a guy called Jay Montano, who started off as very uninfluential. Now he runs My Nokia blog, which has, I think, hundreds of thousands of hits every week, because we invest in the people who we see have the passion or are enthusiastic. Inspiring content. I might not have time to show fully all of these videos, but I'll show you one or two. If you can just play the video and make it a little bit quiet, I'll kind of talk over it. Oh, no. Have you got that video? The previous one? This one? Yeah. So this was Nokia N8 producers, and basically the outcome of the producers was that we created the world's kind of best and biggest volume of user-generated content around a brand. We challenged people who basically had a bit of a beef with gravity to go out and create incredible videos with their Nokia devices, with their N8s. And the responses were awesome, that they were judged on their success by both the community votes and by the Nokia team themselves. The winning best clip got a chance to go into a zero gravity chamber, basically, which was absolutely insane on kind of with NASA. So it was an extraordinary campaign, and that was one of the super exciting things we did. Again, all around inspire. So that's an example of that column there. But how can we inspire people to really create this content? I have all the figures and things for the success of this if you guys want, but I know we're short on time, so I'm going to zip through. Innovative tech. Especially if you're working for a client like Nokia, you need to be on the forefront of doing really interesting things. And, a lot of advocates are early adopters. They want to see and be part of really exciting things. So just recently in February at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, we got people to tweet hashtags, exciting things about why they love their Lumia, and we were creating them personalized Lumia cases, printing them 3D live at the event. Which was awesome. We had this printer in the office for ages, and we were like, what can we print? Let's create a human being. But this is this thing about, it was actually quite a simple concept, that campaign mechanic. Every time you go to an event, what can we do that's different? Great, just use, stay on top of what's going on, use the latest technologies. Non-tech audiences. Here is an example of a recent fashion audience-focused advocacy program we did. This is a jewellery designer from London, and we used there was a new style app that had also been created for the Lumia about creating mood boards. So we went on that and got, I think it was 50 influential fashion bloggers and people from kind of forums and Twitter. Blogs are not the only meat. To create personal mood boards based around each of the 5 collections that this girl had. And the idea was that then they got to co-create a special bespoke piece. Again, getting their communities to vote on what they were doing. And you can see the results for yourself. It was just a brilliant way of reaching out to a whole new audience. And we're continuing to do other fashion stuff. So we did a hookup with Elle, have done stuff around fashion weeks. So we're continuing to nurture and build that audience. So actually, Nokia is becoming part of that ecosystem and one of the go-to phones for kind of the fashion crowd. On the ground at events, I loved this. This was our Nokia cab at Social Media Week. Again, actually quite simple idea. One branded cab. People had to tweet the cab if they wanted to use it, and the cab would come and pick them up whisk them away to their next social media week event. One lovely thing is that the team who were monitoring the Twitter feed noticed that this guy, it was Valentine's Day, and he had failed to get a present for his girlfriend, and he was kind of spazzing out on Twitter going, oh my God, I've made a massive mistake. Cab went and bought him a bunch of flowers and a massive box of chocolates, delivered it to exactly where he was in social media week at the event. The advocacy you get from that cannot be replicated by some crazy, mad digital campaign, you know, lots of emails sending out. It's those simple little human things that actually have the incredible results. I know I'm running out of time, so I'm not going to show this video. This is an example of what we did for Dark Knight Rises. So we created a 3D navigable map of Gotham for advocates to play with, and did a whole load of other kind of advocacy around it. But again, that for me is an example of how you've got to integrate everything the company is doing into this advocacy program. Use what your partners are doing, use what your HR and recruitment is doing, you know, use absolutely everything. Use your traditional marketing. How can you tie all that in? Everything is fuel for advocacy and getting people involved in a deeper and kind of behind the scenes manner. Some real ROI, obviously the vast majority of the amazing, stunning figures we have, I can't tell you. Here's a little glimpse that I bullied the teams into letting me show you. So this is the fact that we'd not only, I mean, a lot of our measurement comes from that proprietary tool I was telling you about. So where we can listen to conversation going on about Nokia, we can then also monitor it and measure it and see how it's increased and see how the sentiment has changed and see what the recommendations are and the intent to buy. So that's a huge volume of data we can use very successfully. The other thing we do is ask people. It's a bit old-fashioned. But, you know, getting this honest feedback from our advocates about what they thought of their trial experience and how it affected their purchasing behaviours. You know, Nokia were pretty excited about this, just put it that way. And just here are some quotes, because, you know, of course I'm going to say this is fabulous and wonderful because I work for 1,000 heads. But this is the stuff that gets our team really excited. This is the stuff that we spread around the office every day, because to us, this is success. You know, these kind of quotes that people are saying are, you couldn't make those up if you're a PR team to be more what you wanted, but they come from genuine emotion, genuine advocacy. You know, just to pick a few points out, that was raving about the specific features of the Lumia. Here we have, you know, I've gained a lot of respect and appreciation for Nokia and their great team. Those are human things. Those are relationship things. Those are the things you can get from advocacy. Nokia's getting more and more innovative and closer to its customers. You know, Nokia's been through some hard times, but what we've really seen pull them through and start to build back up again is this kind of stuff, is the fact that they've invested in actually staying humble and staying close to their customers and their advocates. It's a great way to get phones out there. It's a gateway of getting them hooked. You know, I love that. Actually getting products in hands is really important. So that's me. I've already overrun by about, 20 minutes. My apologies to everyone else, and hopefully you'll have lots of questions. Thank you.
Yeah.